Well, today we have the Global Integrity and Anti-Corruption Network. My name is Willie Kachuga. I'm one of the catalysts, and we have people who are also newly found catalysts. We have Chill, and we have Joy, who has been on for 20 years, and we have Lazarus, who has been 4 years. And today we're just going to tell you a little bit about why this group exists and why such a long name. Lazarus, let us know. Why do we have such a long name?
Well, we are called Global Integrity Network, or Integrity and Anti-Corruption. As you alluded earlier, we are against corruption, but we are for integrity.
And so, what has the group done? Like, you've been a Catalyst 4 years. We were, 3 months ago, we weren't Catalysts. So, why would we associate with you? What exciting things does the network do?
Well, the network's vision is that we desire a church that is visible and vibrant in practice of integrity and anti-corruption in transforming the world. And our mission is very, very clear. We empower people of God to champion the value and practice of integrity and effective anti-corruption campaign.
Yeah. And so, for people who really don't like that long name, we call ourselves Jinn. We're a happy crowd, but we don't need the real Jinn. But one of the things, it's a little bit unique in terms of Lausanne for the simple reason that it's associated with the World Evangelical Alliance. So we're an issue network that covers Lausanne as well as the World Evangelical Alliance. But to give you a flavor of what we do, I'd like to take us back to 20 years ago. Let us know, what did you do? What were you doing? And where were you doing it?
Yeah. For a time, way back in 2003, I was the executive director of Christian Convergence for Good Governance. So it was really established to fight against corruption. So the very first initiative that we have taken was filing legal action against alleged corrupt officials. So that's how we started. And then, of course, when I started to reflect, what happens to the Filipino people or even the church as we file? There's no transformation actually. No? So we sort of developed the strategy of awareness raising among churches as well as the community, so that people will become aware that we can be vulnerable and we can also be victims of corruption or even part of it. That's why we went into awareness raising.
And Jill, one of the things, you were kind of roped into becoming a catalyst. And you took a lot of time to think about it and to examine it. And I would just like to know, why did you agree to accept the position?
Yeah, well, with my profession as a lawyer, we are strong in our advocacy to fight against corruption. We are a Christian firm where we are composed of Christian lawyers and Christian staff. And one of the things that we really want to do is to showcase an upright practice of our profession. And that includes living out lives of integrity. We cater to Christian organizations and churches. And I see that it's a challenging advocacy to be in. But at the same time, it gives this call to be in community, like in this organization, in this movement that we are doing. So I'm sure that when people hear the word anti-corruption or integrity, it's kind of an intimidating word. But then again, I came to realize that we should start somewhere and we have to join with other people who's already into it and participate in what God is doing. So I may have taken time, but I believe that the Lord has planted seeds in all of us for us to participate in this work of living out lives of integrity and fighting corruption wherever we are.
So, Lazarus, how did you get associated with this group? And what was some of the thinking that, or maybe the aspirations you had for joining this group?
One of the motivations for joining GIN, as you put it earlier, was to find out what does the Bible teach about integrity and anti-corruption. My training is that of a theologian, and we have great principles and models and examples of integrity and anti-corruption in the Bible. And so I was brought on the team to supplement or complement the other gifts and abilities on the team.
Well, one of the challenges that we face is that we have big shoes to fill. For example, Chill is replacing Bishop Ephraim Tendero, who was the head of the World Evangelical Alliance. And he handpicked her because of character, because, well, a whole bunch of other reasons. I don't know what reasons he used to convince you. But on the legal framework, that is something that we need to know. With Lazarus, we're a Christian organization, and theology is an important part. Why I was chosen, I sometimes try to figure out why, because I'm actually a convert from the Workplace Network. And the reason that I came on is because I've been involved in being accused of corruption. And so often we forget the people who are being falsely accused of corruption. And I had to endure a large process. And I really don't want to see anybody falling into that trap. So I'm a businessman. I was a senior director in a large company that faced disbarment from the World Bank. And it's just horrible that what can happen. And I've dealt with countries where money was expected to come underneath the table. And I still remember one time telling a government official, a minister of energy, and he had 20 people in the room. And I could see that they were trying to figure out how can they make money underneath the table. And the first thing that I said, if you want money underneath the table, I'm the wrong person. But if you want to deal honestly, you can make much more money than you ever expected. And so that was one of the reasons that when I was asked, I said, sure, why not? Change the world. So, Joy, tell me about other organizations that you worked with that are part of the grouping, because we deal in partnership with many organizations. You were involved with MICA.
Yes, I'm with the MICA Philippines, but we focus more on promoting integral mission for churches. So it's a way of giving emphasis that, yes, we share God's commandment of one, loving God and his neighbors, our neighbor, and then loving his creation, and of course, loving God with all our heart. So it's an integral thing. We cannot separate. We need to understand that the mission of God is not separate. No, it's one whole thing. So that is that's what we teach in Bible colleges and to some pastors in the Philippines last month in Indonesia. And we are concerned with HIV and AIDS.
Yeah.
One of the programs and services that we offered was Integrity Development Seminar. So for church people. And after the seminar, there was this entrepreneur, a woman, who shared with me. She said, you know what? You mentioned about tax evasion as a form of corruption. You know, my husband and I have a business, and we did not declare the right tax, the amount for tax. But after listening to you, I started to talk with my husband, and we were convicted that we should declare the right amount of money. So what we did was to go to the Bureau of Internal Revenue, and then we said, this is what we need your assistance. We want to declare this thing. And you know what? It gained favor for the couple. And the fact that, oh, they were really guided by the government employee. But you don't have to do this, you have to do this, And they end up paying less than the previous years. So, and then there was this favor from the government official because they declared what it means to be honest. And I think that's the power of what it means to be enlightened and to understand and to obey God in simple ways. So it's nothing dramatic, but a change has occurred at the personal level. And there are a lot of stories, even among students. We conduct integrity development seminars among students, and they would say, the first thing we ask, who is corrupt? And they would say, government. At the end of the day, who's corrupt? Oh, we are also part of the corrupt. But the mere fact that they become aware, the faces of corruption, that's a way of preventing. Huh? Because, that kind of act, I never knew that was something corrupt. So there had been a lot of stories. That's why I lasted for many years, because I'm drawing from the stories of people that people can change. And because we also prayed. Because I keep on telling God, Lord, who am I to change the heart of people? So I need your help. If you have called me to be in this type of ministry, you have to show to me that change is possible. And I have seen changes. Change of system in government because we lobbied. Change of budget, of government budget to direct it to strengthen the enforcement judicial process. It happened by God's grace. So I thank the Lord for those stories.
One of our goals as GIN, Global Integrity Network, is to educate and teach principles and practice of integrity. As a theologian and a theological educator, we enforce or try to require our students of theology to be men and women of integrity. Now, in academics, there's a word called plagiarism. And it's a very difficult principle to inculcate in students because they're constantly being tempted to plagiarize. But for the students that have been required to be faithful, and when you're writing, you give credit to the sources that you are using. Over the years, students have labeled me as a very strict professor. But after they graduate and go into the field, they come back and thank you and say, we are very grateful that you were very strict with us and you inculcated the discipline of giving credit where it was due. When you are instructing and supervising, invigilating, it's not the easiest of things, but it's very fulfilling to see at the end of a course or a program, men and women who will carry on to teach integrity and anti-corruption.
And I think one of the important lessons is that corruption is like a fast way to get what you want. But as believers, God supplies all our needs. And when we live lives of integrity, we see God's power at work. And so we stop trusting ourselves and we start trusting God. And it's sometimes with little things, sometimes with big things. But our trust is that God will provide, irrespective of what our situation is. And that opens the door to evangelism, because people need to see that God will be there with them and for them not just in times of need, but also in times of plenty. And the other thing about integrity that is important, you learn how to be generous. And the world needs more generosity. People volunteering their time, people who want to give to different causes. That's what we're all about. And so it has implications in all areas of our Christian life. One of the things, what I really like about the network is the fact that it is not isolated. It affects everybody. Corruption affects everybody. This afternoon, what we had was a session on dreaming of what would the world look like in 2050 in an ideal case. And Jill, you were talking about some things and heard your presentation. What were some of the key things that your group came up with in terms of what would 2050 look like?
Yeah, we were very excited when we were sharing about our dreams for the future. We are dreaming of a corrupt-free world. And that's a huge phrase. But in essence, it would mean that our countries, our states would be able to provide sufficiently and more than enough, because we know that there's really abundance in every country. Only that because of corruption, the distribution of wealth, the opportunities for everybody, there's inequality to that. But without corruption, everybody would have access to all these resources. And we are also dreaming that the church will be at the forefront of the fight against corruption. Every believer, not just churches as institutions, but every believer who follows Christ would be very active in living out lives of integrity and calling out corrupt practices, every kind of corrupt practices, big or small. We are so much aware what these things are, and we will be able to confront that. That is our dream. And we know that that would be possible by the grace of God.
And that is the challenge that we face. How do we take it from complaining? There's too much energy put into complaining and not enough in terms of dreaming. And one of the things with this collaborative hub that we are working with is how to pool together the resources, people that are interested in fighting the good fight through the power and of the Spirit of God to make a difference. And that is one of the things we feel that it's important for the churches to be a role model for integrity. And that is our challenge. But we're all volunteers, right? So we've given our time and we are mobilizing other volunteers who have day jobs. And everybody has a part to play. And so we think that if you're not part of the solution, you may be part of the problem. But here we have an opportunity to make a difference every step of the way. Lazarus, any parting words of encouragement? Why would people want to join us?
Firstly, you already alluded to the fact that integrity is a needed virtue in every sector of society. And each one of us is gifted and capable to make a difference in society. Our desired outcome is for a person of integrity and anti-corruption who is moral in character and in action, truthful in dealings, and accountable at all times, and engages in transforming society. So we're very hopeful that God would use each and every one of us to bring change to society. It is a much needed desire. We all want to live in a society full of men and women of integrity and societies where there is no corruption and people have equal privileges and it will be joyous to live in harmony only if we pursue integrity.
I like to say that when we talk of corruption, we think that it is intimidating. But actually, promoting integrity is something that can be done by everyone. If a parent teaches honesty to his children, and assuming that the children will embrace such values and it's being inculcated in the family, the impact is generational. And for the church to teach integrity in sermon, integrating the teaching of integrity and honesty in Bible studies, those things are not intimidating. And yet it's a preventive approach to corruption. So sometimes we think of fighting corruption, filing legal action only, or going to the streets. No, no, it's not. There are many ways. As professional, we say no. We practice ethical ethics in our respective jobs, being honest to the kind of work that we have for a student, the copyright issue when we write term papers. Those are things expressing our integrity and fighting corruption in many ways. So our appeal to the Christian community is not to be afraid. I've been in fighting corruption for many years, as I've shared before. But if it's fear that comes ahead of us, we will never do anything. But if it is faith, then we can go far. So that is our invitation to the Christian community. We be faithful in teaching the value of integrity, honesty, because it is the character of God. So integrity is a cross-cutting theme in all ministries. So it's not compartmentalized. It's who we are, it's who God is, the person of God, and who we are as a people.
And Chill, anything that you would like to solve as a priority in terms of this network, what should we tackle?
For starters, I believe that we have to address matters of the heart. So for us to start working together, we need to fear God more than fearing man, more than fearing institutions. So that's number one. Every Christian should be filled with the courage and the power that comes from the Holy Spirit. And secondly, in our Christian witness in the churches where we belong, we should be able to first learn how to have accountability. And from there, we can be a good witness, a fruitful witness to the world around us.
And why not church be the role model that everyone says you should follow? And that's the challenge that I would like to see fulfilled. Not that churches are doing a bad thing, but churches are not often aware of the consequences of actions. And so the challenges are great, and we're looking for other ideas. But we're just here to mobilize. That's why we're called catalysts. They're to basically speed up the process, to accelerate the Great Commission. So thank you all for joining us, and we look forward to having each one of you look at our Global Integrity Network. It's called globalintegritynetwork.org. You will find a list of our conferences, but I can tell you it's going to change. We're going to have videos, we're going to have stories, and we're even producing a book which is called What Does Integrity Look Like? And that is something that people who want to join us can have an input into and write some of the chapters. So thank you. We have our work ahead of us, but we're going in the power of God.